We're pretty much there. It is 9:11. I didn't look it. Hear us? Can you hear us, Brenda?
Yes, I can hear you.
Okay, I think that's good enough. Yeah. Thank you, Veronica, for the rescue. Okay, we'll call the meeting to order. It's 9:12, Wednesday, April 15th, Trails and Paths. Roll call. Fred, not here. Joe, not here. We have Jeff, we have Patty, we have Gary here. Susan here, Ellie here, Barb here. Did I miss anybody? I don't think that's... And Brenda here.
Brenda by Zoom.
Oh, where's the seventh? Okay. Great. We have a quorum. Let's get started. This is a time for oral communications for items not on the agenda. If anybody present would like to make a comment, I see nobody in the room. Was there anybody online? I don't see anybody other than Brenda. So, okay, we're going to close oral communications. Let's move on to old business. We have our minutes attached from our last meeting in March. Now's the time to offer any changes, amendments, edits, deletions before we approve them. Anybody? Any takers? You got to love these short minutes. They're easy to read. Then I will go ahead and call for a motion to approve these.
So moved.
In a second. Wonderful. And everybody, we have a unanimous. Ellie, you in? Okay, great. Unanimous. We'll send those up. Okay, let's go on to our old business. Item B, trail maintenance update. We did not get a update from Public Works today. I know that there's stuff going on because I see it going on, but does anybody have any items they'd like to bring to the committee's attention regards to maintenance? Oh, go ahead. Yes, Robert.
Can you hear me?
Yep, that's
Sure
good.
Yeah. So there are two trails that we were looking at having Trail Center assist us with. Those being the Toyon Trail and the Eagle Trail. The Eagle Trail is likely going to be delayed a little bit because it's a fairly significant project to get some of the erosion control on that one done. But we are targeting getting the Eagle Trail done eventually. Toyon Trail, I believe, is happening within the next month or so. Additionally, Scott's out this week, so he was unable to get you a update, but he will be providing an update shortly when he gets back.
Great, thank you, and thank them. Go ahead, Susan.
So can you give me a little bit more of an update on Eagle Trail, because I had been trying to communicate with Helen Thomasy. Is she the one who's doing the speaking?
Yeah.
I wrote her an email 2 weeks ago where to update everybody about that. So you're saying that it's going to be delayed?
I haven't been in direct contact with Helen. I spoke to I forget what the other Trail Center guy is. No, I think it's somebody else who walked Toyon Trail with me, and we were discussing it. Essentially, we want to do Eagle Trail, but essentially Trail Center isn't sure where to start. So they're looking for some help and guidance on what we want to do and discussion there. It's not a small project. We're looking at probably moving the trail in certain switchback areas. The likelihood is we're just going to end up moving the trail in maybe 4, 5, 6 feet in certain locations. Correct, yes. We're probably going to try to avoid doing any serious long-term work. There might be some very minor erosion control via minor, 1 foot retaining wall, kind of just very small retaining walls, but nothing major. We're trying to avoid creating a situation where we would need to repair a major civil infrastructure investment. So, yeah. Yes. Yeah.
Was under the impression that it was going to be started, as you told me, in late spring or early summer. But it seems like that's off the table at this point.
Let me talk to Helen again. My impression was that it's not going to happen immediately, and there's still some some question. There might be some minor work, but there's definitely a more major project that's, I mean, we've all talked about it for a number of years, I think, with Eagle Trail, but
Okay.
it's on Public Works' radar and we're trying to target that. It's just basically a lot of the team members don't know quite where to start. So that's my purview of what we're going to end up doing.
Even thinking of taking it on in the first place. Because it's anyway
Yeah.
a massive task for me, a trail that was built probably where it should not have been built in the first place.
Yeah.
Of course, it was an Eagle Scout project, so.
But it lasted a long
But
time, didn't
anyway,
it?
but thank you for the
Yeah.
update. Much appreciated.
Yeah. And they probably will be doing that in conjunction with Public Works, Scott and Justin and myself.
I just have a couple things here.
Mhm.
I did close the Patola Valley Ranch, Blue Oaks and Larry Lane complex trails to equestrians as requested and had it posted to the town's website. I guess we'll reopen when the trails dry out. Also along the Patola Trail, I had reported to Robert from the bus stop by Santa Maria to Hayfields. They have all kinds of lines down. And I believe Robert might have had the town remove some of the debris that was movable, but right now there's still lines lining that Patola Trail from Santa Maria to Hayfields. And I moved some of it off the actual trail, but there are all kinds of plastic covers. And I presume that the lines are dead, but I think this was from AT&T when they had the big robbery of the copper. And so I don't know, may not be asked to come out and remove it? There's a ton of stuff there.
So I was assuming that they would remove it. They just haven't finished the work yet, but it seems like they have finished the work
Right.
and left.
Because they're moving on to other.
They're moving on to other
sections
things
along.
now, right? So, yeah, maybe we can
Maybe they can be
reach out to
called.
them, Robert. Because it's their responsibility. It's
Right, because I think Robert had the town, because some of the stuff is gone, so I'm sure, I think it was Robert might have had the Scott or somebody pick it up, but.
So I'm looking at exactly the area where it is. One second, let me pull it up again.
From Santa Maria to Hayfields.
Yeah. We've asked them to clean this up a few times. I think there's been, so the history on this is that there was originally a series of vandalisms that occurred. I think AT&T is still trying to repair a few locations in Woodside, which if you drive towards Woodside, you'll still see a few lines down that direction as well, past Hayfields. I'm not sure where they haven't done this. We'll talk to them again and see if they can get out there and do it. It's right by the side of the road, right? It's just right alongside of the road.
It's along the trail. And I
Okay.
think something has been picked up. So I presume you might have had Scott go pick stuff up because a whole bunch of loose stuff that they'd chopped up to take this copper out of has been picked up. But the lines are still down. There's a ton of them there and they've got the yellow tape, but I mean, I'm sure they're not live, but
We are not sure.
well, wouldn't PG&E have.
One would hope.
That's a really well-traveled trail.
Yeah.
And I've heard from, I mean, I've called it in a couple of times because people are like, can you do something about this? You know, runners and horseback riders and
Was
it's
it-
down out of sight of the road. So that's why, and you can't get around it. You would
Right.
have to, you can't ride on the road.
It was there as of yesterday, so.
Okay, yeah. We've had probably 12 locations that we've told AT&T about so far, and sometimes they haven't gotten out there, and we've had Scott and Justin take them. So I don't know why this hasn't been done. We'll look into it. Yeah.
Okay.
Can I also say one more thing? Is this the time to say it about, there's a bridge on Valley Oak. It's a pedestrian equestrian bridge that's been damaged for 3 years. Is this something that maybe Robert can take a look at? Because I took a look at it yesterday and it looks like maybe it's not totally irredeemable. It looks like it's a little slanted, so is it possible to take a look? It's Valley Oak just before number 16 Valley Oak, homeowner. PV Ranch, yeah, and you go by the house and you cross the bridge and it leads to the Los Trancas Trail. So maybe take a look and see if it's something that could be fixed without tons of money, because it's been like that for 3 years.
going back to certain, you know, the primary project for what's going to be phase three, phase before for that it's not possible. Is that Darcy is taking on our here coming and you're currently off our parents again because we can ask them not a small process. So we should aware of it. I've been trying to wrangle it since I came on board. It's about the computer rates.
So have you actually seen it then?
Oh yeah. I've been out there.
And it's not replaceable. I mean, because it's only for equestrians and pedestrians. It's not for vehicular traffic. Okay. So how much longer do you think it might be? Another 3 years? How much, just a rough estimate, do you think it will cost? Are we talking 100,000, 50,000, 10,000?
I don't want the number, but it's gonna be less than, but higher.
Oh,
However, I apologize, it's not a minor, it's a peaceful project. That's for 3 or 4 workers.
Okay, yeah, I'm just thinking that there's any other alternatives to building a new bridge, like what the Army Corps of Engineers would do, would come in and just lay a plank across.
exactly. Yes.
Right? 'Cause
Yeah.
you should see what we ride across, literally, Robert. We ride across planks over ditches. I know that's a little more, but okay. Well, thanks for the update. Let us know if we can help with that. But yeah, that's a little concerning. It's gonna take a long time, and a lot of money. So. No, I understand. No, it's insurance. Take its course, right? Nothing we can do.
You know who builds a lot of bridges like that is San Mateo County and Sam McDonald Park. And those go in quickly when they're been destroyed. So I know you're doing what you can, but when the insurance all gets done, maybe it's worth talking to whoever builds those. Because they don't have to be as wide. We're talking about the wide one, right?
Yeah.
It doesn't have to be
as
so wide. So maybe because I'm like, we can't spend $1 million on a bridge. So clearly they don't do that there, but
Is insurance cover? Ideally gonna cover it, yeah. So then go for the.
well, thank you for following that headache.
Okay, any more maintenance issues? We're going to talk a little bit about that in our new business, but yeah, anything to do with like urgent maintenance. Welcome back, Joe. Well, you weren't supposed to be here. You could have stayed home.
You were basically around.
And so is Ellie doing my job? Yes.
Yeah, Ellie's
What, how are
doing.
you doing it, Ellie? You do.
Thank you, Ellie. And good to see you, Joe. Okay, 3C Horse Fair. I actually first call for public comment on trail maintenance. Any public comment? We have public. No? Okay, we'll close public comment on that. Horse Fair, do we have anything that you need from us?
Just, I guess the same as last time. If you're around and can volunteer that day, that's great. Clearly, you guys who set the corrals up every year, we're depending on you.
I'll
on
be there.
Friday again. We'll do it Friday again and have the layout. And yeah, there's I think we're pretty well, we know who's coming. There's a lot of people coming. There's a lot of horses coming. So should be fun.
Great.
So, but if you can volunteer, show up. Even if
Our
it's for an
contracts are
hour.
all done and signage, all that stuff.
Well, as usual, insurance isn't there. I do all the administrative work
Yeah.
for the town. So we've got all the social media and the banners and the posters and everything's approved and all of that is done. The thing we're waiting for is the insurance. Harry. I got yours, yes. So, but Harry's still, and I just got another one from the Gypsy Vanner horse. So, anyway, but it's gonna be fun, as usual.
Well, thank you. Yeah, it's going to be fun and I will be there and I'm sure Joe will be there. Yep. And we have the panels at your house again this year. Great.
Sorry.
Makes it easy.
Oh,
Oh, no, what was it? So maybe we need some other strapping folks. Maybe I should bring my tractor. The forks on it. And Bruce too, we bring our
that, if
tractors.
you got, yeah.
And the other thing, just the gate.
Okay,
Well, if you three, you and Bruce can get together and probably figure that
have to
one
think
out.
about how they're brought in, because if they're brought in on a trailer where you can get at them, then you could lift the whole thing. set on
Gosh,
the
it would
ground
be great to bring them on tractors, though. Then you could just drive right to work.
right there and, okay, we'll talk
Anyway,
about that.
okay.
Okay, well, thanks for doing all that work. It's gonna be fun. And if you want something over at the school and their update, just send it to me.
Yeah, I forgot about that, I was hoping you would post.
We
it on
have
the
time.
school. Yeah,
It goes out on Sunday evenings, so
okay. I'll send you the poster. How's that?
perfect.
Okay.
Public question, what time Saturday morning is set up? Because it starts at 10 to 1, the horse fair is?
We changed it because actually there were so many people there last year at 10 o'clock and we had said 10:30 and we just want to make sure all the horses and any equipment and stuff is in place before we get a lot of people. So that's why we bumped it up a half hour because everybody was there at 10.
Yeah, families are
So,
raring to go at 10.
yeah.
Okay, but we're still setting up in the morning. Oh, we're gonna do Friday afternoon for the crowds. Okay, great. Okay. Excellent. Any other public comment on the horse fair? Okay, great. We'll move on to 3D, the Portola Terrace update. So Joe, myself, and Fred were invited out to the Stanford property to walk the trails. Joe was out of town, but Fred and I were there along with some of the building and planning department folks, some of the Stanford folks. We thank them for inviting us. It was a nice day. We got a lot done. We walked the trails. There are some, I would just say, minor modifications we're asking them to make the trails a little more user-friendly, I would say. Some switchbacks, moving some of the segments into flatter areas, things like that. There was a question from, I think it was Christy Corley about the big oak tree. And all I can say right now is it looks like it's going to stay. And we don't have the final routing of where the trails cross the driveways yet. It's something we're working on. And depending on where that northernly trail or northern driveway and trail intersect, the trail needs to come back to the west. And as it does that, it kind of goes straight towards that big oak tree. So the way we walked it, it looks like all they'll have to do is limb up the stuff that's lying on the ground, which they have to do for fire abatement anyway. And the trail will then sweep right by it and it should be okay. So far it looks like that tree's going to stay. Other than that, we expect to have a little bit of back and forth with them, with the building and planning department, and eventually we'll get another iteration where they overlay the trails, the new locations in greater detail on the site plan with the topo lines. And then that will go to the town for approval. It's not going to come to this committee because they're past us. They're well into their building permit phase. So site development permits approved, conditional use permits approved. So all we're really doing now is working towards getting enough information to them so that they can grant the easements for the trails as a condition of getting the bill.
Are you just talking about the trail along Alpine, or is there not going to be some circular?
Yeah, so the trail in Alpine, remember, is getting relocated inward into the property, which was a really nice thing that they agreed to, I think, for everybody who uses that trail. However, where the trail crosses the driveways, that, there's an engineering component to that and a safety component to that. And so we've made some suggestions about what we think would be the best thing from our perspective, but then that has to get run through their engineering folks and their safety folks, and they'll come back, and likely they're going to have the final say in that, because safety, obviously. So
The trail
yeah, so we walked all of them. We walked Alpine, we walked every one of them. And they look great. So the other thing we're going to have to follow up on is the section of Alpine Trail to the south of Stanford's property, from the edge of their property down to Golden Oak. We all know that that's kind of an issue there where it crosses the road. This is going to be a multi-use trail, so we have bicycles on the trail. And right now, it would just send them right into the middle of the road. So I mentioned this to Stanford a number of times, and I know they're really busy, but I hope that we can engage on this, because really, if we partner together, we're much more likely to get a good solution than if we just, try to do it ourselves. And it's a real benefit to the folks who are going to live there to be able to walk down the Rosati's or walk down and connect to Alpine Trail that way, Dwight Crowder path, or rather than crossing at Westridge, because then they lose the advantage of walking down that beautiful new trail. So that will be ongoing. And other than that, there's nothing else to report. Any questions or any public comments on the Portola Terrace?
I just have one question, and that is, I keep remembering that, I think it was Mary Hefty who talked about when Blue Oaks went in. I wasn't here then. The trails went in first. So I'm assuming that's not the case here.
No, I believe it is the case. So there's conditions of approval of the project, and then there's the town ordinances that they have to follow. So we're working on the conditions of approval, what our responsibilities are. And those responsibilities are to approve the final location of the trail. Then building and planning takes over, and they're going to make them follow the rules according to getting their building permit. And whatever the ordinance says they have to do. So that's not our ask. That's actually built into the town's building and planning process. So they'll get their easements. The trails will probably get built first, or in tandem, however they do it, but that will be overseen by building and planning and not our committee. A good question. Any other questions, public comment? It's great to see new trails. Okay, site development permits. So we haven't been looking at least I haven't been looking at any recent site development permits, but we're going to have one coming eventually from the Hawthorns. So the Hawthorns is kind of a unique project in that there's a trails component to it. And normally when there's trails, like on the Stanford project, we would get involved pretty early on. We would be giving them a lot of input to help guide the process. I mean, Stanford, we got involved years before, right? But with Mid-Penn, they have a unique process where they use a public working group. And I guess this probably comes from the fact that they work in many different towns, and most towns don't have committees like ours, to give them input. And then they process that's defined, that they define for themselves. And right now that process is leading them towards approving a plan that they've developed and then going into a CEQA review on it, the environmental review on it. And you may remember when Stanford went through CEQA, it's a pretty big deal, right? So the uniqueness is that we would normally not get to comment on this until it comes to us as a site development permit application or a application. So for those of you maybe are new, commercial projects generally have, and this is very general, have both a site development permit, which is the grading and the construction stuff, and a conditional use permit, which is the operational stuff. So Priority has a conditional use permit. Neely Winery has one. the Alpine Inn has one, Rosati's. So they'll have one because they have a operation going on there in addition to the construction they're doing. So we'll probably see two different permit applications. And it's not terribly efficient for us to be commenting after a CEQA analysis has already been done. And my expectation is, at least from what I've seen, and I'll get to that in a moment, is that we're going to have some comments. You know, there's obviously, there's a trail component to this. There's certainly going to be feedback coming from this committee. So what does that mean? The Open Space Committee has developed a really nice presentation. They had a meeting yesterday, which I wasn't able to attend, and I haven't seen the video yet. The meeting before that, it was 2 weeks ago, I believe, and it's on YouTube. They gave this presentation, and it shows where they are in their process, and it shows the scope of work that they're going to be attempting. And I see two things that kind of we would want to be involved with. And one is, of course, the trails and location of the trails. And two would be the parking lot, because it crosses trails. The driveway will cross trails. So what I think we're going to do is I'll assign everybody a little bit of homework, just a little. And for between now and our next meeting, I would ask folks to just review that presentation because I think it's the best resource that we have right now. You can look at Mid-Penn stuff as well. It's like, I know Brenda's been following this, and there's a lot up there on their site. And then at our next meeting, we can talk about potentially either signing on to a letter that Open Space Committee is working on, or doing our own that just simply communicates to the town council that we see an issue here with regards to the uniqueness of this process, that, you know, we're not going to be able to comment until after a CEQA review is done. And I want to make sure they understand that, because I don't want to blindside them. You know, when those permit applications come, the site development permit application, the conditional use application permit, that we offer up recommendations that would say, hey, let's relocate that trail. Anything that would require them to go back to CEQA and redo it doesn't make sense, right? So I want to just bring that to their attention and make sure they're aware of the fact that, you know, we expect to be commenting on these applications. It's our normal course of business. It's what we do. The process is unique. They're going through CEQA before bringing it in front of us and in front of the other committees. And it's just important that the town council understand what we think, you know, are the issues there. So that'll be for next time.
Gary, can you direct me more specifically to the video?
Yeah, I'll send out an email after this. to
Okay.
everybody.
For the open space?
Yeah.
Oh,
it's
thank
it's
you.
real easy. It's on YouTube. It's very, I'll send out a link to it. They use the AI assistant on Zoom. So their minutes are almost verbatim to the thing. Really nice. And so you can both watch the video and or read the minutes, depending on what you want to do. And it's a great resource. I learned a lot from that. They have their own concerns, of course. You know, it's open space. It's a scenic corridor. I think the school district's going to want to weigh in because you've got kids coming down that trail to Roberts to be picked up, and the town has an interest in that because they're using town land to do that. So yeah, there's going to be some discussion as to.
Can I just ask what the name of the video on YouTube is, how to find it?
Oh, you just go to Portola Valley Town Hall. That's the name of the owner, if you will. And then all of the videos of all the meetings are under that.
Oh, are you talking about the town council meeting?
No, this is a
Talking about-
open space committee meeting.
Open space on that.
They had one yesterday and they had one 2 weeks ago. I'm talking about the one that was weeks ago. They may have represented yesterday. I don't know. Because I wasn't there and the video is probably not up yet. But all the videos from all the committees and all the commissions and the council are in one place there. So if you're used to using YouTube, you just select videos and it'll show you in the chronological order.
Before we move on for the site development permits, does the house on Cervantes qualify? Go from here, Portola Road, turn left on Westridge, turn right on Cervantes. The second house that's on the top of the knoll,
Mhm.
they're keeping the same footprint. So I'm presuming it's just a major overhaul or major, remodel thing. But there's a trail right there too. So is there permits? Are we following that one?
So that did not come in front of us. I don't know why. I don't know what kind of permit they've taken out at this point.
You're talking about the house that's.
Yeah, they put up a construction
Yeah,
fence.
yeah.
Looks like they're,
Right.
They're like.
Oh,
They're all excited.
That's good to know.
They
yeah.
want to get a mental.
Oh, no, yeah. And it's really just a trail that we're concerned with, straight passable.
well, that shouldn't exempt them from our review though.
No, yeah, no, I just happened.
My guess is they're doing this in piecemeal, like maybe they just have a re-roof permit. And
They're just doing a remodel.
so we might not see it in that case. Yeah.
That's not.
It's not a site development.
Yeah.
For example.
Well, the neighbor across the street is a good watchdog also. He said they're great people.
Well, that's what we can do is make sure the trail stays open. It looks like it is. They have the fence far enough back. They're not stacking materials on the trail. I think temporarily they had some trucks on it from time to time, but
Looks
right.
okay, good.
so it looks okay. Any other site development permit questions or concerns? Okay, then I'll open it up for public comment. Any public comment on item 3E? Seeing no hands raised, I'll close public comment. 3F easements. I don't know that we have anything there to report. I think we'll just be keeping this on our agenda as we move forward because it is always something that can pop up. But unless anybody else has any concerns about easements.
Quick question.
Sure.
I noticed it on that Possum Trail area where the landscaping has come out and sprinklers have come out. Trail seems to be sort of
Right.
not the end of the world to ride the horse on the tree, pretty quiet street, but
So this has come up in front of the committee before you've joined. The situation is that they have worked inside of the road right of way without encroachment permits. That has been brought to the attention of the town. Whether the town wants to act on it or not, it's really up to them. I don't know if you're aware of this situation or not, Robert. A number of homeowners have taken their lawns right to the edge of the road on Possum Lane. And there's a trail there. It's a road right of way trail. So I don't know if it shows up as an easement on their property as a trail easement. I'm sure there's some type of road right of way easement there. How far it goes and where, I've never looked at it. So if it starts in the center of the road and goes so far, or if it's, this wide of an easement, the road's in the middle, I don't know. So the way that would need to get fixed is the town would have to enforce the building code there, that they're not allowed to put improvements in the road right away without a encroachment permit.
Well, over the years, it's got steadily worse, and right now it's worse than it was 2 years ago. I remember one couple towards the end where it goes to Woodside to Hidden Valley. They had redone it and it was very nice. And I was riding there one day and a lady came out and said, "That is our property. It is, you're not supposed to be on it." And it was anyway, so I think
I think a lot of homeowners
it's a problem.
don't understand, this concept of road right of ways. And they assume it's their property that goes to the road. And legally it is actually their property. There's just an easement overlaying it that the town has full control over. So I've had that discussion with people too. And when they've told me to get off of the side of the road, and you can only get so far, and I'm not going to, have a big argument with them because it's really an educational process. And I tell them, listen, go talk, go look at your title. Just go look at your title. And the other problem is, and we're going to talk about this in a minute, is people don't also know to apply for encroachment permits when they work road right away. So many times we see people slurry seal their driveway all the way to the edge of the road. Technically, they should be getting an encroachment permit, which would then trigger a review of Robert and potentially us to make sure it's scored if there's a trail there. So when that process is bypassed, we don't find out about it until the work is already done. And then it's kind of sometimes too late. You're going in after the fact and telling them to fix it, which is harder to do than if it was done right in the first place. But let's move on to talk about that in just a second here.
Can I ask a
Anything
quick
else on
question
easements?
about Possum Lane real quick? What side of the
Yes.
trail, because I know coming from Woodside, it's very marked, that one property, and then it gets lost. But is the trail easement on the side that the trail is already intact, right there where you go?
Yes.
with
I'm
that,
pretty
so
sure that, yeah.
So it doesn't cross over to, it's supposed to stay on that side?
Yeah, it's just basically down at the end of the street off Portola, and here's in the middle of the block. Start again at the Woodside.
Yeah, because you make the corner off of Westridge Trail, you stay as you're going towards Woodside, you're on the right-hand side of the road.
Right, and then
Yeah.
Right, but then it crosses over. Or,
No, I don't
somewhere.
think it crosses over.
Oh,
No,
It's a hidden
not
valley.
supposed to.
yeah, so
Oh, no, it
Uh,
stays on the right side. Okay, if you're coming
stays
from.
on the right side.
Going,
I think
right,
that
okay.
what's happened is because it's such a quiet street that a lot of folks just
Walk on the
ride
road.
their horses right down the middle of the road. That's what I do.
And that's
Yeah,
fine. If they ever were to slurry seal it, that could, maybe they never.
And it can be a problem. There's a big truck rolling down and other things. But yeah, I mean, I'm not making an
Stays on
excuse.
that side.
It's just
Okay, I'm
kind
just
of what's been, why we haven't probably had other people push on this.
Yeah, it's a quiet road, it is. Okay.
Yeah, and I feel bad for the people who did this work, because I don't think they meant to do anything, wrong. They just made an assumption that wasn't valid, and this is something we could try to do in an educational process. Let's just open up public comment and easements real quick. Anybody? No closed public comment. Okay, let's move to new business for a trail crossing and scoring. So I think we need to have an educational process on this. It happens too often that this work gets done and they don't score the driveway. And so, maybe what we can do as part of item 4B when we get there is have a clear and a updated, and I guess I would just say a more modern set of trail usage rules that call this out, because it's really hard to, right now, I don't know if you've recently read the trail usage rules document. I think it's from 1975. It's written in the way the town was back then. Now that we have e-bikes and now that we're seeing issues like this because, we just have such a small town staff and building planning department. We can help by putting out a updated set of trail usage rules and put it on the website and send it out on PB Connect and get it in front of people so that they know what the current rules are for using our trails. Because there's really just the map is what we've been relying on, which is fine. It's great. It's a really nice map. Thank you, Dave. But I think having these usage rules would go a long way when we're doing things like the new projects, the Stanford Wedge trails, the Hawthorne trails, although I think their usage rules would supersede ours. I'm not sure how that would work. Because the building and planning department does actually use that document. And I've seen it, I've had to reach in there and remind them, oh, this is an old document and there's a lot of other rules. And there's ordinances and there's other things that apply. So what I'm going to propose here, and let's just do 4A and 4B together, and we'll do public comment on both of them together, is that we each review that. I'll send that document out, that we each take a look at it, and then just maybe send in one or two rules that you think either need to be clarified, updated, or added. And then I can produce a new document that we can then review at one of our meetings and then make a recommendation that the town adopt it. And I think, like I said, that will go a long way to, because when you have it, I'm hesitant to send out the old document, and put it on PB Connect. It's just going to confuse people.
Well, Robert had sent regarding the scoring of the driveways. The current site development guidelines only say that the 4-foot horse crossing on a driveway will be roughened or ground 1/4 of an inch to provide a non-slip surface so that horses shall not slip. It's kind of worked in the past, but it has been higgledy-piggledy. You've seen some that are very deep and others that are little tiny little score, like a pen. going
It would
across
be
them.
great
So
for us to have, and that's a kind of a more challenging one because I think it's also in some of the ordinances. And for example, I've seen where it says that the scoring has to be done to the satisfaction of the town engineer,
Right.
which is great. You know, that part is, but in other places it
If the
doesn't.
town engineer understands what it is to begin.
Right. So it would be great if we gave examples, gave the resources of where to get the equipment or, Howard had somebody that came out, remember when they did hay fields. So there are people you can hire to do this and do it properly. Mary knows some people.
What I was going to say is we could just call Woodside because town of Woodside does it themselves.
Yeah,
So whoever they use, they do a very good job on those.
there's a piece of
And-
equipment you can rent at one of the local rent.
Yeah, and maybe if that's part of our packet saying
Mhm.
these, the scoring, these do the exclusive scoring in town of Woodside, so that we know they're appropriate.
I don't think they actually do it themselves. They do farm it out, but they have a system whereby they farm it out without haggling about it.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah. Well, the more we can educate them and, right now we can't, or we just don't. And I don't think it's purely a responsibility of the building and planning department because they don't have a lot to offer them. So, the extent we can help them. And Robert, it sounds like you want to jump in here.
Yeah, so I think is this working? I think so. Get real close. So I think there's two elements here I'm hearing, which I agree with and we discussed. Thank you. One is overall trail usage guidelines. Another is these specific situations such as slurry sealing of driveways and issues there. And exactly like we talked about, and we're talking about now, we're seeing a situation where this is just my opinion, but it seems like there are new people coming into town that are perhaps sometimes less volunteer oriented, don't understand the rules, so on and so forth, where we have these wonderful general guidelines and those aren't always communicated accurately. And typically what we do see in towns is that there is something that's such as driveways shall be roughened to the satisfaction of the town engineer. That provides what we call sometimes a God clause, where it allows us to basically do what we want. And that helps when items become contentious. But I really would like if we could have all of your help to create a little packet saying, rather than, Ellie, as we were talking there, roughened or grinded 1/4 inch, something more that is an actual detail, an actual example. Because we don't have this town as a lot of details that say, okay, roughened and grinded 1/4 inch, 2 inches on center and a cross hatch pattern. Here's 3 examples. If we would provide places where these can be rented, what I would suggest is to try to create something that's evergreen as a policy. So rather than saying this can be rented from this location, saying this is the tool that would typically be used. Does that kind of make sense?
Yeah, absolutely. And do you want to reach out to Woodside and just ask them, if they have, we can leverage off that.
I'm close to Lewis, who is the public works director over at Woodside, and I'll go ahead and ask. him what
Wonderful.
he-
Yeah.
So we just got lunch about a week ago.
Yeah.
I'll ask Lewis.
They stay on top of this over there.
Because the samples we have around town all differ. So,
Yes.
yes, very much. And then after a while, they kind of wear, and then they're still okay until somebody slurry seals over them. And then the slurry seal can just be ground off. It doesn't have to be real deep, but
Yes, but I think I agree, but I really do think there needs to be some standard detail because the homeowners want to comply. I think the real issue is getting the contractors to understand.
Mhm.
So I think the issue isn't the homeowners. The issue is that homeowners just don't understand. And if they don't understand, it's not their job to spend 20 hours trying to get their contractor to redo it 5 times. They just need something they can hand to the contractor and say, here's how you do it. You figure it out.
Remember about 2 years ago, I contacted probably 4 different rental companies and found that they all have these scores and it was less than $500 or $600 a day for each to rent them. And some of them were only like $300. So they are readily available.
for the contractors, not for the
Oh,
homeowner
homeowners, I
or for
could,
the town.
it's, the ones I was talking about can be rented by me.
I think
can-
Fifth Avenue Rentals has them.
For instance, yeah, Fifth Avenue is one of them.
Maybe, if they choose to do it themselves, that's fine. If their contractor does it. I think your point though is they're readily available.
That's exactly.
Yeah, and we'll leave that up to them how they want to get it done, but it would be great. So I think we should move on. So maybe then a little additional homework. I'll send out that document, the old document, and then everybody can just throw a rule or two or your favorite rule in there. I'll compile them together and we can work through it. And I think when we each take a little piece of things, work gets done a little quicker and better.
I've been on this committee the longest, right? And I remember the last time that I read the rules.
Yeah.
Or where to find it. So I think this is a great idea.
The general plan.
And I don't know if this is still done, but when I bought my house here, I got a big packet from the town. Yeah, the realtor gets it from the town and it has information about the school district and other things. And such a document should be in there, right? And, maybe I know I read that when I got it. Most homeowners probably do when they buy the house. And if it says in there, if you ever work on your driveway, get a encroachment permit. And if you have a trail, you get.
Where'd it come from? The realtor or the town?
Realtor
Or the building inspector?
gets it from the town. So the town compiles it because the town, it includes things like your impervious surface coverage and information like that.
This is so much.
It's a big packet.
I will mention that we have had realtors reach out and mention that's been done before. I don't know what the building and planning department status is and if they still do that. It is a significant amount of work to compile that with the current staffing and budgets to create a packet and go through for each homeowner and spend, however many hours looking at, okay, what's the impervious surfaces? Because once we tell a homeowner that, it's legally binding. So we need to make sure if we do give that to homeowners, it's.
Well, that's why I asked, because I didn't know if that was like a legal obligation the town had to do, or if it was just a courtesy. If I haven't bought a house in town in 27 years.
Even if it's,
Not included.
Generally, there are rules, there are town rules. That get passed on whatever.
Got it.
Well, I've also heard that realtors don't like to push the fact that there's a horse crossing in front of their property.
Well, I think realtors do like to give their clients resources. But if it's something the town
Easements
is-
and all those things.
federal thoughts.
Generally, it's all available online.
Well, that's a great point is that, we now have the internet and 20 years ago we did not. And things like closing trails to equestrians, we talked about this, is kind of an antiquated concept. I don't know how this came about because I've never seen it in the ordinances or anywhere of why we have chain closures on single tracks. They don't work. Are dilapidated in some cases. A horse can just go around them.
Right.
But I think I'm guessing that it's probably because it was the only way to communicate to people that the trail was closed. They didn't want to put up a sign. They just, the chain's up, it's closed. But now we have the internet. Now we are, and we have PV Connect, and we are using the internet to give people status on trails, whether trails are closed, whether the seasonal trails are closed. So we might be able to do away with the chains altogether.
There are about 14 of them, I think.
Yeah, and it's a maintenance issue, and we're going to have to replace some of them. So I think we're going to have to look a little deeper. I don't know, Robert, if you've ever run into this in the ordinances or anything where it's legally required for us to do this, or if it's in the easements. I've never seen it in easements I've looked at. So for example, the ranch easements where we have these, or the hayfields easements, I've never seen a thing in there that said the town must have chain controls on.
Well, I think we never saw the easements in the ranch saying no dogs, but
You know where that came from, Susan? Do you have any?
I want to go back to the thing. I think that the visual is important. I mean, as a hiker, I like the visual, maybe because I'm the oldest one on the committee, but I know that, some people are trying to get away from all of that too. And I just think it kind of makes a statement. It tells me as a hiker that the trails are a little muddy, so I don't think there's anything wrong with the. Trees.
Well, you make a good point, and I think that that was the mindset, for a very long time. And it's sometimes hard to change the mindset, we've all are used to doing things.
Well, right now, there are quite a few that are totally dilapidated and the chains don't even hook
That's-
onto anything. So the
that's
town will
gonna
need to put
become
new posts in.
A driving,
And I think,
factor in that.
If they're going to be scofflaws, just like the bikes, they can get around all of them. And who wants, if you're sensible, you're not going to go on muddy trails with a
Well,
1,000-pound animal.
There's more liability issues, safety issues to be worried about. Kid was playing on a chain or something, or who knows what, or if the chain wasn't put up when it was supposed to. That's the other thing is, the criteria to close those is somewhat subjective. It rained. Okay, let's close them. So, do we, and this might be in the work we do on the rules, is do we just close them between November and, April? I don't know. I'm not suggesting we do that. But having a well-defined criteria for closing them is actually, I think, better than just arbitrarily closing chains when we have the time, when people are willing to go out and do it. It's just something to think about, and so that can be part of the discussion too, when we talk about the rules.
I have another meeting right now, so if
Yep.
there's any remaining questions for me.
I don't think so. That was our last item, so I'm going to open up for public comment. Any public comment on this item? Seeing no hands raised, I will go ahead and close public comment. Any other business anybody want to bring up? No, thank you, Robert. It's good to see you. And then I will go ahead and call for a motion to,
I'll make a motion to.
I'll second.
so moved. That's everybody in favor, I think. Yeah. Okay, we went just a little longer than we.
Next meeting is,
No,
next meeting is May, about,
20th.
May 20th, Wednesday, May 20th, 9 a.m.
okay, great.